Wow. It's gotten a lot bigger than we were expecting. This is wonderful. Thank you all so much for coming out. I know a lot of you have been very supportive to me and my family the past few years. And there are quite a few of you that have been supportive to my friends who've been going through a lot of this with me. So I am just grateful for all the support and love we've gotten. Let me start the evening if everybody is ready to go. Sneak across. That's right. Last is best. Thank you. For those who do not know me, my name is Brie Hong, and I'm married to Dan. He's the pastor at Grace Church of Greenwich, which meets in this less than typical church building. I'm planning to lead a 3-talk series called Hope in a Broken World. We're going to be thinking about how this world is painful, how it's filled with sorrows, how it causes us to groan in agony at times. And while I realize that suffering and pain is not a very happy topic for 3 separate talks, it may be a topic that resonates with many here, whether we know about your suffering or not. My aim at the end of each talk is to show how the Christian faith has hope in the face of such pain. Not just wishful hoping, not just optimism, but a certain hope that there is something better to come. There are many faces I know here, and quite a few that I don't. And there are many faces that have known me for a long time, and some have only met me recently. So let me tell you a little bit about the pain that has entered my life. It all started in April 2018. Dan and I had been living in London for 7 years, and we were due to return to America in the summer. I can remember the Skype call with my parents quite vividly. My father, the man whose personality I most exhibit, the man with a big smile and a big laugh and a desire to remember every person's name, he had a brain tumor. The day of his surgery, the time of his operation, was right when I was supposed to pick up my daughter from preschool. I could not stop the tears from falling as I tried to hide my anxiety. My father may become brain dead. He may forget me. He may even die on that operating table. Thankfully, the removal was successful. So then why the pain? Despite the chemo and radiation he endured, it was ultimately unsuccessful, and he died in December 2019. And my loving mother, a woman who served and loved everyone, a woman whose friendship I had only just begun to experience, she was diagnosed with ALS, a disease which destroys muscles and paralyzes you. She died only 3 months later, just as the world shut down for COVID. The 2 pillars of my life, the 2 people I cherished, and valued, and wanted to be like, they were gone. And just when I thought the pain could not get any worse, my daughter Isabel was diagnosed with leukemia this past June, and her last day of 2nd grade was the last day of her life. I thought I had reached the depths of pain after my parents died. But for those who had the terrible privilege of hugging me after I lost Isabel, you have personally heard how deep the groanings of pain can go. And yet, I find myself here tonight, only 7 months after losing her. I'm out of bed. I've showered. I'm starting to make new friends. How is that even possible? It is not because I am a super strong person. I have felt absolutely beaten up these past few years. My heart is exhausted. And yet, I have hope. I face another day in this broken world because of hope. There is something better than this tear-filled world. And hopefully I'm able to show you that through tonight's Bible passage. I've asked my friend Clara to come up and read the first passage on the handout. It's a passage that does not shy away from the sufferings of the world. It acknowledges it, explains it, and ultimately shows how Christian suffering will be different. Okay.
And this is inside the booklets if you want to follow along. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. For we do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. And he who searches hearts knows what is the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. And those whom he predestined, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified. And those whom he justified, he also glorified.
Now, perhaps you picked up that repeated word, groaning, throughout the passage, that word of pain, of suffering, of hurt. But who is groaning may surprise you. Perhaps the most surprising is in sentence 22, the whole of creation, all of this world around us, that is groaning. We also see in sentence 23 that we ourselves groan inwardly. And finally, we see in sentence 26, the Spirit of God himself interceding for us with groanings too deep for words. Yes, God himself groans at the brokenness of this world. But were you able to see the hope sprinkled throughout a passage of groaning? In sentence 18, the sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory to be revealed. Sentence 20, the creation hopes to be set free from corruption. Sentence 24, hope is repeated 5 times, but we must wait. So this groaning is not a mourning without end. It is not crying that will be left unsolved. This world, us, and God look forward to a time when the groaning will end, when there will be no more reason for groaning. This is how Christian groaning differs from those who are not Christians. For Christians, there is a solution, there is an end, and it is glorious and worth the wait. That is why Christians can have hope in this broken world. Tonight, we're going to think about how this creation, how this world is groaning, but with hope. Our next talk in March will consider how we groan, but with hope. And our final talk in April will consider how God himself is groaning, but with hope. Now, for those of you nature lovers out there, myself included, the thought of this world groaning doesn't sound right. I grew up on the beach. By the age of 1, every summer was spent on the shores of Long Beach Island. The very smells, sights, and sounds always caused me to just sigh in wonder. The smell of sand and salt in the air, the feeling of the sand massaging my feet, the glinting of the waves as they crest and roll onto the shore again and again, and the brilliance of the sunsets at the end of every day. For the hikers out there, perhaps it's the majesty of the mountains, the earthy smells of the fresh soil, the early morning mist rising off a lake, the rainbow of colors waving in the autumn trees, the sight and sound of a forest covered in freshly fallen snow. I, for one, am grateful for the photographers and videographers who provide the breathtaking documentaries of this planet Earth. The grandiose glaciers, the nighttime sky sprinkled with stars and suns and galaxies, even the rolling waves of sand in deserts the size of our country. This world is filled with beauty for those who take the time to look at it. But for every beauty, there is danger laced within. Gently rolling waves can become battering rams, floods, tsunamis. Gently blowing breezes can become hurricanes or tornadoes. Majestic mountains sometimes break or even erupt. Breathtaking snow turns into ice. And it's not even just the natural disasters that plague this world, it's the diseases, the sicknesses. It's the tumor that takes over a brain. It's the sickness that causes muscles and nerves to die. It's that single blood cell becoming leukemia. It's why babies sometimes miscarry, and why sometimes babies never form at all. It's why heads ache, why backs are sore, why bodies break down. If it wasn't the plague, it was smallpox, or AIDS, or the seemingly ever-present cancer. And while I'm truly grateful for medical advances, I have a sinking feeling that disease will never be eradicated. Sickness will never be gone. Because this world is broken. This world is groaning. Something is not right. And the effects are all around us to see. So the question becomes, how do we deal with the brokenness of this world? For some, the solution does not lie in this physical world. In fact, we seek to break free, to reach nirvana. Until that time, we're reincarnated. We come back again and again to this beautiful but broken world. And it's this world around us that holds us back from being truly free, from being spiritual beings. So all the breathtaking beauty is not something to be a part of, but instead to be free of. For some, the idea of hope for this physical world doesn't make sense. For an atheist, this world and humanity are just molecules and atoms. When you die, you return to the dirt. You decompose. You fertilize the next generation of trees. But there is no soul. You do not live on through those trees. You do not look down from the mighty branches. You are gone. You have ceased to exist, as will this physical world when it is destroyed. Perhaps it will be when the sun dies out, or perhaps earlier because of us. But there is ultimately no fixing this planet. It too will cease to exist. But let us now consider how the Christian deals with the brokenness of this world. And so we turn to the passage we read earlier. In sentence 22, the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. The author's use of the illustration, the pains of childbirth, has two very important implications. One implication is that this pain has an end. This is not the pain of that chronic illness that has plagued you your entire life. This is not the pain of arthritis, the pain that once it starts, there's no end in sight. And perhaps women will understand unending pain better than men, for we are reminded monthly that pain will be a constant companion in our lives. However, childbirth, it's a pain, while intense, also has a definite end. And it is an end which is wonderful and happy. The other implication is that these pains will result in new life at the end. You endure the intense pains of childbirth because you know that a little baby will come from it. New life comes after the agony of childbirth. And this perhaps sounds quite odd when you realize that it's this world that has the pains of childbirth. It is this world that is looking forward to a new life. But what is this new life that the creation is anticipating? To understand that, we're going to go to our second Bible passage for tonight, on the back of the handout there. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. And God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away. There are a few things that I hope we can notice about this new life to come. First, it is physical. There is a new earth coming. We will not be just spiritual beings. We are not just going to float on clouds while we play harps. This is a physical new earth. It's going to be filled with sights and sounds and smells to look at and wonder. And yet it is a new earth that no longer has the brokenness that we thought about before. The natural disasters are gone. The diseases are gone. And how do we know that? Sentence 4. There is no more mourning, no more crying, no more death. Everything that causes heartache in this world is gone. Tears are tenderly wiped away as we look forward to a world without brokenness and only breathtaking beauty. So for Christians, we do not think that this physical world is something we need to break free from. Instead, we look forward to a new physical world, these new heavens and a new earth. For Christians, we do not think we will simply cease to exist, that even this planet will cease to exist. Instead, this world will be made new and will no longer die, and neither will the people we love. Never again will we have to look into the lifeless eyes of our loved ones. Never again will we have to feel the warmth leaving their bodies. Death shall be no more. There will only be life and the beauty of this world with no brokenness to darken it. While this is a nice dream, the question is, how do we know that this new world will be a reality? How do we know this is not just some fantasy that ancient religious people made up because they could not cope with the difficult realities of this world? And it's because we got a sneak preview of this world in the pages of history. A man named Jesus was born 2,000 years ago, and he physically demonstrated what life would look like in this new, unbroken world. He created the best tasting wine because the new world would be filled with feasts and celebrating. Diseases disappeared by a touch or a word. Raging natural disasters were controlled and calmed down. And perhaps the story I've needed to remember the most is about two sisters. For 4 days, they must have been plagued by memories of the lifeless eyes and the cold, stiff body of their brother Lazarus, until Jesus brought him back to life. Surely they were mistaken. Their brother obviously wasn't dead. He was just in a coma. Let me tell you this. I've held the hand of a cousin in a coma. I have held the hand of my daughter in the minutes and hours after she died. I did not need a medical degree to know the difference. So all these demonstrations of this new unbroken world, the wine, the healings, the resurrections, they were witnessed by hundreds of people, thousands, and their testimony is in the pages of the Bible. So for my Christian sisters out there, groan that this world is broken. Groan that it causes heartache and tears and pain. But do not groan without hope. Jesus has shown us that this new world will most certainly come, and it is worth the wait. And for anybody looking into Christianity, I would encourage you to consider the historical testimonies of those who witnessed Jesus doing these unbelievable things. I've got here one of the testimonies of Jesus' friend John. It's not that long, only 100 pages or so, and I imagine most of you read that before lunch at work. But I would guess most people have not read the book. They've assumed what it's about and dismissed it. I know, because that was me about 20 years ago. So take these little books away. There's a few of them on the back tables over there. They're free, easy to carry. They don't really look like Bibles. Read it on your own. Write in it. Mark it up, right? Put a question mark where something's confusing. Put an exclamation point if something's surprising. And talk to the person who invited you here tonight. Or email me. I put my email address at the front of the handout. Just read. Just read about what an eyewitness saw this man Jesus do while he was here on this physical world. And maybe you too we'll come to see how the promise of this new world to come transforms our groanings into hope. That's all I've got for this evening. You are welcome to head home. If you need to get back for babysitters, you are welcome to stay and chat, have food, have drinks, have a night out. Great. Take a break. I'm going to be around for any questions if people want to talk to me. Thank you so much all for coming.